All right, so Google Product Manager, huh? That's the dream?
It's a popular one for sure.
Well, today we're going deep on what it takes to land that job at Google, right? We're talking interviews.
Exactly.
And we've got this great article from Product HQ. It's called 30 Plus Google Product Manager Interview Questions.
Yeah, it's a fantastic resource.
So it's not just about like knowing the answers, it's about understanding like what Google's really looking for.
Absolutely. It's about getting into their mindset.
So this is like a peek behind the curtain.
You could say that.
Okay, let's jump in. The article, it's not just like a list of questions. It's like it reveals a lot about what Google values.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, these questions, they're like a window into Google's, I guess you could say, their soul,
Whoa, deep.
right? They're revealing their priorities, what's important to them.
So it's not just about being smart, right?
No, not at all. It's about more than textbook answers. It's about, like, how you think, how you approach a problem.
Like your problem-solving style?
Yeah, and I think most importantly, it's about whether you have that googliness.
Okay, googliness. Now I'm really intrigued. What is that? Some secret handshake. Do I have to wear like those colorful Google glasses?
No, no, nothing like that. Though I have to say, the beanbag chairs at Google are pretty amazing.
Uh-huh. Okay, so what is this googliness?
Well, it's more about aligning with their culture, their values, you know? It's that drive to innovate, to make a positive impact on the world, to push the boundaries of what's possible. That's what they're all about.
So it's not just about like having the skills on paper. You need to have the right attitude, the right mindset.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And you see this reflected in one of the first questions that the article highlights. They ask, why become a Google product manager? What does Google offer that other companies don't?
Wow, yeah, that's pretty direct. They're not messing around.
Right. They want to know you've done your homework,
Right.
that your passion for Google is genuine, not just about getting any PM job. They want to see that Google spark in you.
Okay, so cultural fit is a big deal. What else did we learn from these, you called them soul-revealing questions?
Well, if you're aiming for that Google PM role, you better brush up on those product design skills. Like, really brush up.
Oh,
So the article mentions that product design questions, they can make up a third of the entire interview.
wait, a third? They're serious about design, huh?
Oh yeah, Google is all about creating those exceptional user experiences.
Right, right.
And they need PMs who can, like, think like designers, who can empathize with users, create products that people will love.
And I think the article gives us an amazing example. They ask you to design a maps feature for blind people. Talk about a challenge.
It's a classic Google question.
Mhm.
They're assessing your problem-solving skills, but also your ability to think outside the box. They want you to consider inclusivity, different perspectives, and all that.
So it's not about just like coming up with any solution. It's about how you approach it, right?
Exactly. The article even mentions something called the circles method for product design, which, by the way, might be worth looking into if you're serious about Google.
Okay, the circles method. Got it. Taking notes. So we've got cultural fit, design skills. What else is hidden in these interview questions?
Well, something that might surprise people is the focus on estimation questions.
Estimation, like math problems.
Kind of, but not your typical math problem. You're not expected to be a human calculator.
Okay, so what's the point of these questions? Some of the examples in the article, they're kind of mind-boggling, like how many internet users will there be by 2050? Or estimate the total cost of running Google for one day. I mean, come on.
Right, it's not about getting the right answer, it's about your thought process.
So how you break it down?
Exactly. Can you take this big, complicated problem and simplify it into smaller pieces? Can you make reasonable assumptions? Explain your reasoning clearly, even if your estimate isn't perfect.
So it's not about the number, it's about how you get to that number. Like, are you pulling it out of thin air, or is there some logic there?
Right. They want to understand how you think, how
Yeah.
you solve problems. Google, they deal with tons of data and these really complex problems every day. So they need PMs who can think critically, make decisions, even when things are, uncertain.
Makes sense. It's like they're not looking for robots who can just spit out numbers. They want thinkers, right?
Exactly. People who can navigate the unknown.
Okay, so that's estimation. What else? What other types of questions should we be prepared for?
Well, they definitely hit you with strategy questions.
So this is where they ask you to come up with like the next billion-dollar idea for Google.
Not exactly, although who knows.
Yeah.
But what they're all looking for are big picture thinkers, people who can see beyond just the features, the surface stuff. You have to understand the market, the competition, user needs, and how it all fits together.
Sounds like they want PMs who are like mini CEOs,
Yeah.
understanding the business side of things.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Someone who can connect the dots between, user behavior, what they're building, and of course those business goals.
The article, it had this one question that really stuck with me. How would you reduce food waste in San Francisco?
Oh yeah, that's a great example.
It's like, that's a huge problem, right? Not just a product problem.
Exactly. It shows the scope of what they're thinking about at Google.
Yeah.
It's not just about building the next app. It's about tackling these complex issues that affect the world.
So they're looking for people who want to make a difference.
Yeah, and it goes back to that Googliness, aligning with your values,
Yeah.
right? Making the world a better place. It's not just about the paycheck for them. It's about the impact.
I love that.
Me too.
Okay, so we've got cultural fit, design, strategy. Anything else we should be prepared for?
Well, you can't forget that Google's a tech company, so they do want to gauge your technical understanding. But don't worry.
Thank goodness. Because my coding skills are more hello world than like building the next Gmail.
That's fine. You don't have to be a coding whiz to be a Google PM. What they're looking for is more of a conceptual understanding of technology. Do you get how things work? Can you talk to engineers, in a way that makes sense?
So it's more about being comfortable with tech, like tech fluency rather than being a master coder.
Exactly. The article gives this example, explaining page load speed to a college freshman.
Oh, I like that one.
Right. So you have to take something complex and explain it simply. That's a key skill for any PM.
Yeah, especially at a company like Google, where you're working with people from all these different backgrounds.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And speaking of all those different backgrounds, we also have to talk about data analysis.
Ah, yes, data. Google's bread and butter.
Right, and they want to make sure you're comfortable working with it. Do you understand how to pull insights from data, how to use it to inform product strategy, that kind of thing?
So it's not just about being a data geek, it's about being able to tell a story with data, right?
Exactly. Data without context is just noise. You have to be able to connect those dots, turn raw data into actionable insights. It's like being a detective.
I like that analogy.
And the article gives some interesting examples here. One is about tracking YouTube traffic in real time. You have to explain those fluctuations, the spikes and dips.
Ooh, that sounds tricky.
It is. It's about showing that you understand the key metrics,
Yeah.
that you can spot trends, and, most importantly, explain the why behind those numbers. Data is how Google measures everything. It's their compass.
Makes sense. Data is like a language for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other example they give, it's about, measuring the success of a new streaming service launch.
Yeah. Knowing Google, it's probably way more complicated than just counting downloads.
For sure. You have to think about user engagement, how much money they're making,
Yeah.
long-term sustainability, all these different factors.
Okay, so data isn't just numbers to Google, it's a tool, a way to make decisions.
Right. And it's a big part of the PM role.
All right, so we've covered cultural fit, design, strategy, technical stuff, and data analysis. My brain is officially full.
I know, it's a lot.
Is there anything else we need to know about these Google interviews?
Well, we can't talk about the interviews without mentioning the whole process, right? And the timeline. And as you might imagine, it's pretty intense.
Oh boy, how intense are we talking?
Well, the article outlines like an 8-step process, which can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks.
8 steps. It's like climbing Mount Everest to get this job.
In a way, yeah. But we'll break down each of those steps in the next part of our deep dive, don't worry.
Okay, good. Give our listeners a chance to process all this. I mean, we've gone from specific questions to like these big picture qualities that Google wants in their PMs. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but I think it's a valuable glimpse into what it takes to work at Google, to be successful in that environment.
And even if you're not planning to apply to Google, I think a lot of this is relevant for anyone who wants to work in tech, right?
Oh, absolutely. These skills, they're in demand everywhere.
Okay, so as we move to the next part of our deep dive, let's keep these lessons in mind. We're not just, dissecting Google interview questions. We're trying to understand what it takes to be a really great PM.
Exactly, in any context.
All right, up next, we tackle those 8 steps in the Google interview process. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's a wild ride for sure.
Okay, so let's break down this 8-step interview gauntlet. What's the first thing that, aspiring Google PMs need to know?
Well, it all starts with the basics, your resume and cover letter.
Oh, right, the classic resume.
That's step one. And believe me, Google gets tons of applications, so you really got to stand out.
Yeah, I bet. So make your resume, like, super sparkly.
Uh-huh. something like that. But really, it needs to showcase your relevant experience, right? Your accomplishments, your skills, all that good stuff.
And the cover letter, that's your chance to, like, show some personality, right?
Exactly. Don't just be a list of bullet points, tell your story.
Yeah.
Why Google? Why this role? Let them see you as a person.
Okay, so you send off that perfect resume and cover letter, cross your fingers. What happens next?
Well, assuming you pass that initial screening, it's on to step 2, the phone screens.
The dreaded phone screen.
Right. These are usually pretty quick chats with a recruiter.
Yeah.
They just want to get a sense of your qualifications, see if you're a good fit, at least on paper.
Okay, so it's like a first date, but over the phone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, something like that. Less awkward silence, hopefully.
Yeah.
But it is a chance for them to get to know you a little better, hear about your background, your goals, all that.
And if they like what they hear, you move on to what? More phone screens?
You got it. Step 3 is where things get a bit more, let's say, meaty.
Okay, how so?
This time you'll probably have 1 or 2 phone interviews with actual Google PMs.
Oh, wow, the real deal.
Yep. And they're going to dig deeper into your experience, really get into your problem-solving skills,
Yeah.
your product sense.
So this is where those product design and strategy questions come in.
Exactly. They might ask you to analyze a product, brainstorm new features, really put those creative muscles to work.
So it's not just about knowing the right answer, it's about how you think, right?
Absolutely. They're looking for that Google approach, that Googliness in action.
And if you impress the PMs, what's next? Do they fly you out to the Googleplex?
Not quite yet. But if you do well, you move on to step 4, the on-site interviews.
So this is where you get to visit the Google campus, right? Soak in that Silicon Valley magic?
Yeah, you might get a free lunch, but don't expect a relaxing day at the beach.
Oh, why not?
On-site interviews, they're intense. We're talking multi-hour affairs, usually 4 to 6 interviews, back-to-back, with different people from the product team.
Wow. That sounds grueling.
It can be. But hey, they wouldn't have invited you on-site if they weren't already impressed, right?
True, true. So what kind of questions can you expect during these on-site interviews?
It's really a mix of everything we've talked about. Behavioral questions, product design, strategy, technical stuff, and of course those fun estimation questions.
So it's like the final exam. You got to be ready for anything.
Right. But remember, they're not trying to trick you. They just want to see you shine, see how you handle pressure.
Okay, and if you survive the on-site interviews, what then?
Well, then it's on to step 5, review by the hiring committee.
The hiring committee sounds scary, like a panel of judges deciding your fate.
Uh-huh. It's not that dramatic, but it is a big step. This committee, it's usually senior PMs, other stakeholders, and they review everything, your interviews, your resume, everything you've submitted.
So they're basically looking for any red flags, any reasons to say no?
It's more about making sure you're the right fit, that your skills and experience align with what they need.
And if they give you the thumbs up, you're in, right?
Not quite. There are still 3 more steps to go. Step 6 involves a review by the senior leader of the department.
Okay, so now you have to impress the boss.
Basically. It's your chance to show your leadership potential, how you think strategically, all that good stuff.
And then, what's step 7?
Step 7 is the compensation committee. They'll review your salary expectations, make sure everything's in line.
The money talk. Always a fun one.
Right. Be prepared, know your worth, and negotiate confidently. It's a two-way street.
Got it. And then finally, the last hurdle, step 8, what is it?
Review by a senior executive. It's basically a final check to make sure everyone's on the same page, no last-minute concerns.
So this is like the official stamp of approval.
Exactly. Once you clear this step, you can finally breathe a sigh of relief. You're officially a Googler.
Phew. 8 steps, multiple interviews. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
No kidding. It's a tough process.
Yeah.
But hey, if you can make it through, you're one of the best.
And I imagine the rewards are pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a Google PM role, it's highly coveted. You get a great salary, amazing benefits, and you get to work on products that, impact millions of people.
And let's be honest, having Google on your resume, that's got to open some doors.
Sure, it's a globally recognized brand, synonymous with innovation.
Okay, so we've gone through this whole process, 8 steps, all the twists and turns. What do you think is the biggest takeaway? What really stands out to you?
What strikes me is how consistent they are. Throughout the whole process, they're looking for those core qualities we talked about. User empathy, strategic thinking, intellectual curiosity. Those are the threads that run through every question, every interview.
It's like a puzzle, and all those qualities are the pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a powerful message for anyone listening, even if you're not aiming for Google specifically.
What do you mean?
I mean, these qualities, this way of thinking, it's valuable everywhere, not just at Google. If you can develop these skills, you'll succeed anywhere.
Yeah, that's a great point. We get so focused on a specific company, but really the underlying skills are what matter most.
Right. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're not just learning about how to get a job at Google. We're learning how to be better thinkers, better problem solvers.
Exactly. Better versions of ourselves.
Right. And, the article ends with this really thought-provoking question that I think is worth considering as we move into the final part of our deep dive.
Oh, what's the question?
It asks, based on the types of questions asked, what do you believe are the 3 most important qualities Google looks for in a product manager?
That is a good question. And it's not just about Google, is it? It's about what we've learned today, what makes a great PM anywhere.
Right. It's about taking all this information and actually applying it to our own understanding of the PM role. So let's take a moment. Think about it. What are those 3 essential qualities?
3 qualities, huh? Okay, I'm going to take a stab at this.
Yeah.
I think, based on all those crazy interview questions, one of them has to be that strategic thinking.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, remember that question about reducing food waste?
Yeah.
That wasn't just about, like, coming up with a product solution. It was about, like, understanding a whole system,
It was a big picture question for sure.
Exactly. So strategic thinking, that's got to be up there.
I agree. They want PMs who are thinking about the market, the competition, the long-term vision.
Like, they're almost mini CEOs.
Right.
Okay, so strategic thinking, check. What else? What else is, like, crucial for a Google PM?
I think another one has to be that deep understanding of the user. That empathy piece.
Yeah.
Like, remember that question about designing a maps feature for blind people?
Oh, yeah, that one was like, whoa.
That really highlighted their focus on accessibility, on building products that work for everyone.
And it's not just about, like, knowing your target audience. It's about really putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, it's about understanding their needs, their pain points, and then designing solutions that truly make a difference in their lives.
So it's not just about building a cool product. It's about building the right product.
Exactly. And I think that leads us to the third quality, which is, let's call it a passion for learning, for innovation.
Oh, yeah. Google is all about that constant evolution.
Right. They need PMs who are curious.
Yeah.
Who are always learning new things, who aren't afraid to experiment.
Like, remember those questions about explaining complex stuff to a freshman? Or, like, improving a product that isn't even a Google product?
Yeah, those were all about testing your ability to learn and adapt, right?
Just think outside the box.
Exactly. Google, they thrive on that. They're constantly pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And they need PMs who can keep up with that pace.
Okay, so we've got our 3 qualities: strategic thinking, user empathy, and that passion for learning and innovation.
Sounds about right to me.
I think we nailed it.
I think so too.
And it's cool. These qualities, they're not just valuable at Google, they're valuable anywhere, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Any company that's building products, solving problems, they need people who can think this way.
So to all you aspiring PMs out there, listen up. These are the skills to focus on.
Yeah, and remember, this deep dive, it's just the beginning.
It's like a taste of what's possible.
Keep learning, keep exploring, keep asking questions.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be leading the next big innovation at Google or, some other amazing company.
The future is yours.
It's been great chatting with you about all this, as always.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this Google adventure. Until next time, keep those product ideas flowing.